everywhere that we can be live for you. We are. Butt Fumble Sports is your place for sports content, sports conversation, fantasy football advice, and sports betting research. Appreciate you guys being with us every single day that you do. We come on live to answer your questions, dive through data, trends, and information to try to find the best bets and the best matchups for you, depending on whether you play fantasy sports or you like to bet on sports. We're not connected to any sports book just yet, but big news around the corner for all of you butt fumblers out there that follow our picks or follow our bets. We have something cooking in the works that should be done in the next few days. Exciting announcement just in a few days from now, so can't wait to share that with you, and obviously you guys will reap the benefits of all of it. If you guys do want to do a fantasy league today, I am totally up for that. We're going to do a lot of fantasy advice for all of you fantasy football owners out there who need to get ready for your drafts, need to get ready to set your lineups for week one. We even are looking ahead to week one matchups. It is so exciting to be able to say that with week one just around the corner. We are even looking into that, and we are getting more information obviously by the minute. Who's on the PUP list? Who's been cut? Who do people expect to be done for the year? Crazy stories out of Green Bay. A.J. Dillon done for the year, put on season-ending IR today. How does that impact Josh Jacobs' value? We're obviously going to talk about that over the course of the show. We're going to talk about Desmond Ridder. Snip, snip. See you later over in Arizona. And no surprise, Bailey Zappe's time in New England is over. If you're a Patriots fan and you miss Bailey Zappe, I don't think you understand why Bailey Zappe was a cancer on your team, but that's for something we can discuss another time. Appreciate you guys joining the show. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. If you do want to join us later tonight, subscriber-only show on TikTok. If you have a lot of fantasy football questions and you want a lot of personal attention, subscribe on TikTok. We're going to do a subscriber-only show tonight. That's a great way of getting ahead of the curve there. If you just have quick questions, this is going to be a good show for it. This show's for everybody. Make sure you're tapping the screen. Make sure you let us know that you like us in the YouTube and Instagram ways that you do. If you want some of our bets for today, we give out our favorite MLB picks every single day. We'll do some research throughout the show to answer your bets around player prop bets and game picks, but we already have our picks up there as well as available on the SHARPZ app. Isaiah has the honor of the first question, kicking us off on Instagram Live. Kyren Williams or Alvin Kamara? This is a no-brainer. Isaiah, Kyren Williams by a mile for me, not even close. 2-8-2, rate my 10-man half PPR. Allen, CMC, Achan, London, Amari Cooper, Kittle, Rice, and Koo. I love the team, frankly, I really do. I think you're going to have a few players regress like Allen and CMC, but there's a lot of star power there. Overall, I think it's a B-plus team at worst. So really solid. Justin, start Achan or Jacobs? Well, what's Jacobs' health status? Is he a full go? With A.J. Dillon's season-ending injury, it certainly increases Josh Jacobs' value. He's going to get the boatload of work. They're going up against, obviously, Philadelphia week one in Brazil on that Friday night game. I'm not crazy about that game for Josh Jacobs. He's running up against Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, two of the best middle defensive linemen in the NFL, interior linemen in the NFL, so it's going to be really hard for him to get some traction interior on the running game. I think it's Jordan Love that's going to have the better game, so I don't love Jacobs in that week one matchup. As for Achan, he and the Miami Dolphins play the Jacksonville Jaguars. I prefer that one. I'd go Achan over Jacobs week one, Justin. Season long, different question there. Matt King, 8-man PPR, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamb, Adams, Wilson, Pacheco, Cook, Chubb, Ingram, Cooper, Tajee Spears. Heads up, Chubb is out for the first 4 weeks of the season, so you could even drop him and pick someone else up, and you could probably get him again unless you just want to stash him entirely. Really love the team, to be honest with you. Are you in a 2 QB league to have Mahomes and Burrow? Kind of crazy to me, but you were also able to land Lamb and Adams, so this 8-man league, clearly it's kind of wonky. I'm interested by your running backs with Pacheco and Cook, but given how clearly how many good players you could get, I'm surprised you couldn't get even better running backs. Appreciate the questions coming in from everywhere. 2-8-2. Brian Robinson or Brian Thomas Jr.? Brian Thomas Jr. is where I would most likely go. I think he's got better long-term value for you. Appreciate the questions coming in from YouTube, Twitch, and Kick as well. Feel free to fire those questions in for us. Love hearing from you guys. Just write your questions in the comment section. We'll get to them. Luca, what do you think of this in a 10-man full PPR league? Kyler, Pacheco, Walker, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico, McBride, Zay Flowers, JSN, Brian Robinson, Odunze, Sutton, Dobbins, Chase Brown. Overall, really like the team. You're taking some good gambles on Kyler Murray. I think Kenneth Walker III as RB2 is really solid. I don't see a great backup running back situation in a flex way, but Brian Robinson and Chase Brown could turn into nice lottery picks at the running back position as a substitute, but that may be a weak area. Overall, I think it's a really strong team. Only one concern I actually see is you're a little overloaded on the Arizona offense with Kyler Murray and McBride. Doesn't worry me enough, though. I think it's a solid B-plus team as of right now. Nino Pena, which side? Patty, Kelsey, Rashee Rice, Hurts, Kincaid, Ayuk, or Chubb? Since Chubb is out, I can't really acknowledge a lot of value there. Right now, I'll still go with the Hurts, Kincaid, and Ayuk side of that trade, in part because the Chiefs players are going to cannibalize their own value. Only so many players can score when they get the ball. Caden, Zay Flowers, or George Pickens for the first week? Really good question. So A.J. Terrell is going to be on George Pickens. Kind of an interesting matchup there. Zay Flowers goes up against a Chiefs team that I don't know who their number one corner is and whether they're to the talent level. I'll take Zay Flowers week 1. I don't love the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. Certainly prefer it in Baltimore. And I also think Pickens might have the tougher cornerback matchup. So I'll take Zay Flowers in that week 1, Caden. Samir, Kupp, or Puka for week 1. As of right now, Puka's supposed to be playing and he should be ready for week 1. I'll probably lean towards Puka, but let's keep the injury status in mind. John Tosh, what's up? You have a draft strategy for the 3 pick in a 12-man. You're either taking CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, or I would take Bijan as the 3rd. You could obviously do Christian McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill if you want to go in another direction. Joe Shiesty, Kyler Murray, JT Monty, Garrett Wilson, Waddle, Pitts, Kupp, and Deontay Johnson in a 12-man PPR. I think it's a very solid team. I think probably your ceiling's a B+. I don't see it being a stunning team. I think you probably understand that as well. But I think it's very competitive. What you're clearly banking on is Montgomery getting, again, a lot of those touches, especially probably in the red zone for touchdowns. I think Deontay Johnson's an interesting gamble given the other wide receivers you have. I actually love what you did there. Maybe it compromised your running back strategy, though. I don't know how your draft played out. But to have Wilson, Waddle, and Kupp as your 3, and then to be able to slot in Deontay Johnson if he develops over the course of the season, I certainly like that. Appreciate you, Mark Gonzalez. Thanks for manning things at the mod station. Zach Gunning, do I take CeeDee or Breece at 3? Personally, if CeeDee Lamb is falling to 3, I would take him. Breece Hall, both I think are number 1 overall players, but probably CeeDee Lamb, it's close. I like the running back position more, so maybe I'd lean Breece Hall, but you can talk me into both. Jorge, what's good? Flowers or McLaurin? Are you talking season long or are you talking for week 1? If you're talking season long, actually, I kind of like McLaurin. He's going to get a lot of opportunities in that offense. I think Flowers is ripe for regression, in part because I think defenses are going to be more aware of him. I think with Derrick Henry in Baltimore, it's going to change the offense to be more about the running game and play action. There are more mouths to feed. Mark Andrews is healthy again. So I think Zay Flowers, though he's a really talented player, and I think he's going to have a solid year, I think he's someone who doesn't quite take that next step that some people are anticipating. Meanwhile, I think Terry McLaurin, this is maybe the first year in which I look at him as a serious option, as a fringe or a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1. Like, he has that capability because the quarterback, he's got the talent. Quarterback makes the difference. Luca saying he loves the show. So happy to have you back with us, Luca. Appreciate all you guys watching across all of our networks. Freddie, PPR League, Dak, CMC, Henry, Evans, Moore, Pacheco, and Andrews. I really like this team, Freddie. I think Dak, ironically, is going to have his hot and cold weeks, and that'll frustrate you. But CMC and Henry, both are going to regress from what they once were, but they're going to be really solid owns for you. Evans, Moore, really solid. I love Pacheco as a third running back. Love that play, Freddie. That to me is what changes this team. I think this is a really solid B+. Obviously, you got a lot of players who might have injury risk or a history of injuries. But that said, I really like this team's solid B+ squad. Kike is Guap. Who would be the ideal pick in the second round? Etienne, AK, or Pacheco? Pacheco for me. Some people will say Etienne. I'll let them believe in the Jacksonville Jaguars. To me, it's Pacheco because I trust Andy Reid. And as good as this passing game of the Chiefs is going to be, they are still anchored by their ability to run. And Pacheco, for his size, he can be a power back as much as a speed back. So it's not like they have to swap him out just because it's a certain formation or a certain point in the field, certain situation. He is so good. I'm a big fan. Hayden, 12-man, I got Caleb Williams, Kyren Williams, Mixon, CeeDee Lamb, Metcalf, Kittle, and T. Higgins. What I really like about your team is Kyren Williams to me is a top 5 running back, and you still have CeeDee Lamb. So to get those two, I'm assuming those were your first 2 rounds. Really solid. I think Metcalf as a second wide receiver is great. In a 12-man league, I'll take that as actually kind of a steal play. T. Higgins is an interesting play, but he's a third wide receiver, so I'm fine. Clearly, you're going to have running back issues. If Mixon's your running back too, he'll be fine, but make sure you shore up that position. Overall, I'll give this team a B+. Again, to me, it's about if Kyren Williams and CeeDee Lamb are in that top 3 at their position, you are a Final Four team in your league. D. Turner, 96, Dynasty Trade Alert, T. Higgins, and a 2025 first for Kyle Pitts. Thoughts? I actually really like this because I don't know what I'm getting in Kyle Pitts. I don't know what I'm getting in T. Higgins. So I like this because as long as you're able to own Kyle Pitts beyond this year, I think he's got long-term value now. The 2025, we'll be scouting, obviously, the college football season to see. It's not the same kind of class coming out next year. It's going to have some stars. It's going to be a much different draft next year than it was this year. There is no Marvin Harrison Jr. in my estimation. There's no Malik Neighbors. I'm sure there's some college football folks out there who might argue, but not to me. Rookie breakout. Rookie breakout's an interesting question because I can answer that a couple different ways. Jaden Daniels is for real. It's just a question of whether the Commanders are good enough. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a star. People are going to try and talk you into Malik Neighbors or talk you into... Marvin Harrison Jr. is a star. He just is. And he's finally going to be able to show out in ways that maybe at times he couldn't, ironically, at Ohio State. So with that said, those two are breakouts. But if you're talking about someone who's maybe a bit under the radar, I've talked about him quite a bit. Ladd McConkey's someone I've got my eye on. That wide receiver room got absolutely decimated for the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert's going to throw the ball around, and he's going to find a consistent receiver like a Keenan Allen who just becomes that guy he consistently finds. Gerald Everett is certainly going to have a great year in that regard, but I think Ladd McConkey's a nice sleeper pick. I'll also say Brian Thomas Jr. Last one I'll mention because Xavier Worthy's kind of obvious is Adonai Mitchell out of Indianapolis. Miles Hogan, thoughts on the Jamar Chase contract? Like his situation? I don't know if he just got signed. Maybe some breaking news happened, but his contract situation, if I'm Jamar Chase, I know what I'm doing. The Cincinnati Bengals are a cheap ownership, a cheap franchise. It's not frugal, they're cheap. So you need to do everything you can to get every dollar you can. I have no problem. Funny enough, I actually thought CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase are handling their contracts appropriately because those are two of the oldest, cheapest, most stubborn owners in the NFL, and you've got to do what you can. You're not talking about one of these new age owners who's willing to throw money around because they know there's value to making everybody happy. Jamar Chase, look, that whole family, the Brown, Cincinnati, get your money, Jamar Chase. So I'm all for it. I have no problem with it. By the way, I also think the Patriots, right now I think the Patriots, when I last saw it, were like plus 9.5, at least when I bet on it. You look for the Patriots to maybe cover that one, because if Jamar Chase doesn't play, or even if he does, he's going up against Christian Gonzalez, a good corner, Jonathan Jones, good corners. So that could be a closer game than people think. That's just a side note. But Jamar Chase is still a great own in fantasy all season long. Dre Sid, raid my 8-man PPR, Dak, Saquon, Kamara, Chase, Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews, and Amari Cooper. I like the team. I don't love it. I'll give it a solid B. You've got a lot of players that probably had better years in the last few years. I don't know if they're going to have their best year this year. El Pinche, 10-man PPR, Goff, Pacheco, Achan, St. Brown, Wilson, Ferguson, London. Seahawks defense, sleeper pick with the Seahawks defense. I kind of like that. I really like your bench. El Pinche, love what you... This is a great team. Great team. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Garrett Wilson. Love that 1-2 punch. I really like Pacheco as your starting running back. Some people may not think highly of Goff. He's not going to get the rushing yards. He's going to perform really well in the passing game. You have a bench that's got Montgomery, Waddle, Worthy, Brown, Thomas Jr. I know you watched the show. Clearly you picked a lot of guys that I'm very, very high on. This is a really, really solid team. I think it's probably the B+, just because you don't have enough star power. If Achan plays really well, this is an A- team. If he doesn't quite play to the level that you hope, it's a B+, but really solid. Kike is Guap. I answered that one. It's Pacheco. Kike is Guap. It's Pacheco. Cole, Najee or Tank for week 1? Tank Bigsby? Who are you? Who's the Tank? Because Najee Harris, I think Jalen Warren is going to play from what I heard. You're going to have to watch that waiver wire the injury report rather really closely. Elijah, Pacheco or Jacobs? For week 1, I'm going to go Pacheco. Really, I just trust Pacheco is going to get in the end zone. I trust 1 touchdown from Pacheco, and that's enough for me. Keep in mind, the Ravens, everyone's going to be so aware of the speed that the Chiefs have at wide receiver that I think they're going to be overly cautious in playing a little extra safe in the secondary. That could open up the running game. Not based on tape this year. I think everyone already knows that the Chiefs have speed now at the wide receiver position. I think Pacheco could get off to a very fast start. Ryan, thoughts on taking ETN at 15? It's fine. I'm not buying into ETN injury history and the Jaguars overall, but what I would say is 15 is the appropriate spot to take him. I certainly wouldn't take him earlier. Maybe you could wait a pick or two, but it's around that spot. So I certainly think it's on par with where he's being drafted. Connor Holt, Hurts, Bijan, Kamara, Brown, St. Brown, McBride, and Higgins. Really love this team because you have Hurts, you have Bijan, you have Amon-Ra, and you have McBride. I don't love having the combination of Hurts and A.J. Brown, but something to consider maybe for the future. We are getting someone who wants to join the show as a guest. Let's see what they want to talk about.
Hey man, how are you?
What's good? How can we be of service?
So, I'm still one of the people that haven't drafted yet this year. I don't draft till Monday in my league, and I've done countless mock drafts throughout the summer, and I'm noticing 5 guys who I can't leave about. So I just need to ask you, how do you feel about them?
Go for it.
Number 1, Pacheco.
You're just saying, do I like him or do I not like them?
Yeah, how do you feel about drafting him this year?
Love Pacheco. Keep going.
Jake Ferguson, tight end. I mean, he's going so late.
Great call. He's going way too late for his value overall, and especially if you're like me and you're willing to wait on the tight end position, Jake Ferguson is a great pickup. Agreed.
I mean, you can pick up Laporta around 2, 3, then you miss something like...
Sam Laporta is the earliest you could get Sam Laporta that I'd feel good about is round 3, and even there I don't like it. Sam Laporta is probably not someone I'm going to go reaching for because there are so many tight ends that are worth it. Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, and Travis Kelce are 4 tight ends that are elite. Then there's the second tier that has Kyle Pitts, that could have Ferguson, that could have David Njoku, that could have some of these other tight ends that could perform really, really well, that have a lot of value. So I'm sure. By the way, I forgot Evan Ingram. He could fall in both of those camps depending on how things go in Jacksonville.
Tight end 2 last year, Evan Ingram's going round 6.
And Jake Ferguson, waiting on Jake Ferguson's a great move. Great move. Love it.
Another one for me is Amari Cooper. I mean,
so I really like Amari Cooper. What Amari Cooper offers is very consistent, high floor. That's what I would say. He's a high floor player, much like a Mike Evans. He's going to get a lot of catches. He might not have massive games. He might not be he might not get you 25 points in a week, but he might consistently get you 12. And 12 may be every week. No like duds. He'll have some bigger games, but I'm saying he's a very consistent player. So I like him from that aspect.
These next two are probably going to be the biggest ones. The first one for me is Deontay Johnson. He's finally out to Pittsburgh. He could be wide receiver one this year twice.
So, okay, here's what I would say about Deontay Johnson. For the same risk, I can take a rookie wide receiver. It's a similar story in that I'd almost rather take a rookie wide receiver because then at least I know what the quarterback situation is going to be. So I can go with a Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville or a Xavier Worthy in Kansas City. I can go with someone who I know I like their quarterback because I just don't like Bryce Young in the NFL. And I've got to see it to believe it. And I know he's going to get a lot of catches. He's going to be the Adam Thielen of this season. So he's going to get a lot of targets and a lot of catches. And if you're going by that idea, fine, I'll bless it. But personally, I don't want to buy any part of the Panthers offense. I can buy any team in the NFL. Why would I want to buy that offense?
I get it, man. I get it. This last one for me is, it's like draft in 2018, but for me, I love Ezekiel Elliott this year. The only real Cowboy RB I see this going. I mean, if you can pick him up round 10...
That may be compromised by the news that Dalvin Cook is now in Dallas. He's meeting with the Cowboys. So 24 hours ago, I might have been like, that's a sneaky pick. Now I would have got. Now I'm like, that might be a sneaky bad pick. So just wait on the news. Here's my point. I don't hate your idea of taking the number one Cowboys running back and just stashing him on your bench because maybe that turns into a nice little, low risk, high value play. But just make sure you're waiting to know who that player is.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're not going to draft or you're not going to play Ezekiel Elliott, your starting running back, but later into the season, a flex option maybe with bye weeks go up.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the Cowboys are an offense that is going to need to run the football enough. I know people are trying to tell me that Dak is amazing, but they're going to have to run the ball enough to keep defenses off balance. The one thing I would say is don't invest in the Cowboys running game in week 1 because the Cleveland Browns are going to smash their shit in.
Hey, I'm a Browns fan, man, so I hope we do. I hope we do.
You're going to be very happy with that game.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you joining the show. Come on anytime. Have a great night.
You too, man.
If you guys want to join the show as a guest, feel free. We love talking to you guys. All you have to do is hit us up on TikTok Live. That's the way to get a hold of us. Vince Ochoa, how do you feel about the Green Bay's 1-2 punch without A.J. Dillon? Honestly, I kind of like the Packers more without A.J. Dillon. I don't mean that to be nasty towards A.J. Dillon, but I don't really want to see A.J. Dillon with the ball. I kind of know what I get. The novelty's gone. He really hasn't developed in his time in the NFL coming out of Boston College, and I really want to see Josh Jacobs challenged to be the key primary running back in that backfield. Can he be all their needs and more? So I really like it. I do think that it's an interesting note that the Packers probably could have kept Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. Maybe they couldn't financially, I don't know. But they decided to go with A.J. Dillon, and it didn't end up working out like they thought. Getting another call. Let's see what Norlar. Ricky, thanks for resubscribing. Nolar, what's good?
Yo, what up?
How you living?
I'm doing good, man. I got my draft today at 10.
Let's crush it.
Yeah, so it's a 10-man league. I got the 8th pick, so, I'm just depending on who's falling. I'm hoping to get a receiver, though, so like Amon or Jefferson. If
you're drafting a wide receiver at that spot, Amon-Ra St. Brown is like the dream get at that spot.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm really hoping for. I'm not sure. And then, come second round, I'm between a couple guys. I'm really looking at, I don't know if this is a stretch, but I'm looking at taking Marvin Harrison at the 2-3.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I know.
And here's my reason why. If you do get Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would go get a running back. I'd go get the running back because because having the top 2 wide receivers there, I don't think says value. I'd rather go with a Kyron Williams if Jonathan Taylor is still available because you're in a smaller league. Like you have a lot of options there. I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr., that's probably 10 picks too early on him.
Yeah, I was planning on stacking receivers and just taking running backs later rounds like James Conner, Mostert.
Okay. Across all of our networks, we call this viewer a fantasy football terrorist. They're coming up with a strategy to ruin your leagues. So you want to overload on wide receiver and get no running backs. Are you willing to trade them, or are you just going to overload on them?
Yeah. I'm willing to trade.
Well, I personally don't condone it. I don't want to support terrorism. But if you're going to be a pirate, be the dirtiest freaking pirate you can be. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, if you're going to go with that strategy, just be relentless on it. Like, don't give up on it. Don't get a heart halfway, Blackbeard. Like, take it all the way. Just be the meanest pirate on the block. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just ask you. So I know you said 10 picks too early on Marv. If you were in my spot, I think I'm still going to go double receiver. What receiver would you take?
Here's why. Okay, if you're going to go that strategy, here's why I do like the Marvin Harrison Jr. It's because he's a sexy pick. Like, people are going to be talking about him. And so if you do want to trade him, you are going to get way more value back probably because people are going to be like, oh, Marvin Harrison Jr., oh, damn, like, well, sure, I'll give up Pacheco and maybe somebody else for that. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to build out my squad with a bunch of, to your point, a lot of, like, second, third, and fourth round picks from guys who you couldn't start anyways. Like, you couldn't even fill out anyways. So I think it's an interesting strategy. Again, if someone in my league did it, I probably wouldn't talk to him for, like, a month. But but people are savages. This is a crazy world out there.
Yeah, I hate to do it, but I just
as he plans to, like, as he's building his pirate ship, all right, well, do your thing. Here's the one thing I would say is if you're gonna do it, don't go with the sexy names. Like, don't go with a Mike Evans, like, because Mike Evans is someone who's considered like an old reliable. Like, don't go with old reliables. Don't go with the Stephon Diggs. Like, that Nico Collins would be a better one because Nico Collins has both sex appeal and could still not deliver because there's so many mouths to feed in Houston. So if you're gonna do this, make sure you get names that are like, oh damn, he got even Malik Neighbors. I don't want him because Daniel Jones, but even he has like, oh man, well. All right, I'll kind of reach on a trade for that. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you watching the show, man.
Yep.
Wow. We got a fantasy football pirate in our midst. We got to be careful, everybody. We got to be careful. Crazy strategies are awesome as long as they're not in my league. That's what I say. Jordan, 11 pick tonight. Would you rather Saquon or Taylor? I'd go Taylor. And then after, would you double up running back or try to get Harrison or Puka? I wouldn't take Puka. If I had to go with one of the two wide receivers, I'd go Harrison. But personally, I'd double up on the running backs. I'd love to have Saquon and Jonathan Taylor. Love it. Jorge, draft today. Sounds like we got some people who do want to do a fantasy draft with us. So if you guys do want to do one, let's do it. All right, I'm up for it. This will be Fantasy Football Draft number 19. This will be the 19th league that we start. This is going to be a 10-man league, everybody. $0 buy-in. You guys know how it is. $0 buy-in. Now, last year, the leagues that we started on Rival Fantasy did pay out. Not my money, not my company. I'm not responsible, but they did pay out. I don't know if they're doing that this year, but we'll find out. Can't lose. You're paying no money, so either way, it's a game. DM me on Instagram if you want to participate in this fantasy football draft. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram is where you can go. If you want to participate, a lot of the regulars are getting in on this one. This feels like a lot of the regs were standing by, ready to do some fantasy football drafting. We will be talking your fantasy football teams throughout the draft. So if you guys still want advice, don't worry, don't go anywhere. We won't be shutting off our focus on any of that. So appreciate you guys being with us. We are going to continue to give out sports betting research and picks as well. I know we haven't talked a lot of baseball today. Fantasy football draft season absolutely does that. We do have some folks, some new folks. Zane, sending you the link right now. Robert Garcia, sending you the link right now. Toby Williams, what's happening? There you go. There's the link. So if you guys want to get in on this fantasy football league, again, this is going to be a 10-man PPR league, free. You guys can participate free of charge. Gavin Wheeler, 14-man PPR, Stroud, Bijan, Javonte, Pittman, Cooper, JSN, Laporta, Dolphins defense. Don't love the Dolphins defense. Addison, Chuba Hubbard. There are too many question marks. I don't love this team. Its ceiling is a B for me. I know a 14-man league is hard to draft, but frankly, I think you probably reached on Laporta just seeing the other positions and how you drafted. It looks like you took Bijan probably in round 1. Who'd you take in round 2? Pittman or Laporta, but it was that kind of in the first 3 rounds. Not crazy about this team overall. Again, I think its ceiling is a B. I think it's closer to a B- right now. Appreciate you guys joining us. Arthur, I got Taylor at 10th and A.J. Brown at 14th. What do you think of that? I don't dislike it. I'm not as big on A.J. Brown this year as others, but that's a good spot to take him, so I think it's a good tandem. I'm really high on Taylor, so I love that first pick. I'm not as big on Brown, but I'm not gonna give that a failing grade by any means. I'll give it a thumbs up on the trade. It's just not a player that I would necessarily draft myself. And if you're asking why, it's because Saquon Barkley's there, more mouths to feed, the opportunity for him to be targeted goes down. So I just feel like A.J. Brown probably had his best year in Philadelphia last year or the year prior. Just given on the tendency, I'm not saying he can't have another 1,000-yard year, another big touchdown season, but just how they built the roster for this particular year, Jahan Dotson joining the squad certainly gave kind of an indication to that. By the way, really quick, if you guys want any of my bets, every day, doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, college football, I give away my picks for free every day. Every single day. It's always about data, trends, and analytics. If you're looking on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick right now, or on X, you're seeing my picks up on the screen. Really quick, I'll run through some of my favorites just while some more folks sign up for the draft. Just want to give out a few picks in case you guys are curious. I really like the under in Astros-Phillies. Astros-Phillies under. I took that at an under 9.5. The Tigers on the money line. The Tigers on the money line, everybody. Tigers on the money line is one that I really, really like. Really quick, I'm going to show that to you guys if you're watching my screen. If you're not, just pay attention as I pull up the trend that I researched earlier. Since July 1st, the Detroit Tigers, when they play a game with a total of 9 or more, they are 9-0 and 8-1 on the run line. Doesn't matter if they're at home or on the road. Since July 1st, when the Detroit Tigers play a game with a total of 9 runs or more, they are undefeated going 9-0, and they're 8-1 on the run line. They are home tonight against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I took the Tigers. I'm very high on that one, so I wanted to call that one out for you guys. If you want every bet that I make every day, DM me on Instagram. I give away my picks for free because you should never have to pay for picks. You guys are sports fans like me. You should put your money towards sports betting or fantasy sports, not towards my picks. So I give them away for free. Just DM me on Instagram if you want them. Arthur, is Raheem Mostert going to be good this year? I think his role is really going to change. He's kind of put him on your bench and good matchups, maybe play him, but that's it. Luke, A.J. Brown or Devontae? I'd go A.J. Brown because you're really asking me, would I rather go Gardner Minshew or Jalen Hurts? I'd rather go Jalen Hurts. Nico in a 12-man PPR, Mahomes, Cook, Mostert, Lamb, Marv, Rice, and McBride. I really love the team's wide receivers. You already knew that. A little overloaded on the Arizona receiving game, but that's okay. But overall, I'll give it a B. Another injury, season-long injury, Elijah Mitchell. Running back of the 49ers, out for the year. Elijah Mitchell, it was just announced he is done for the year, so another bit of news there. By the way, we still have 4 spots left for this fantasy football league, so if any of you guys want to participate in this fantasy football league, it's a season-long league, $0 buy-in, so if you guys want to participate, yo, it's Timmy. You just got a link for the league, so if you guys want to get in on it, DM me on Instagram. D1 Brecken, 10-team PPR, Kyler, Hall, Kyron, Lamb, Collins, Andrews, Waddle, Devontae, Moody, Dolphins. What's with people taking the Dolphins defense? I'm not high on them at all. Kyler, I like. Hall and Kyron Williams is phenomenal. How you got Hall, Kyron, and Lamb. D1, people in your league are stupid. Forgive me, but I don't know how you were able to get... You could argue those are 3 of the top 5 potential... At least the top 10, but potentially the top 5 fantasy players. 3 of the top 5. Just phenomenal. D1, that's an A- team just based on that by itself. Just based on that alone. Appreciate you guys being with us. Appreciate you guys. If you want to participate in the Fantasy Football League, DM me on Instagram right now. 2 spots left. The moment we fill the league, we will draft. Chris Simmons, thinking about taking Gibbs at 8. Not anymore with that hamstring injury. I know he'll be back for week 1, but I think it increased the role for David Montgomery, especially early in the year. I think he's now a second-round pick, not a first-round pick. Michael Hayes, 10-man PPR, Mahomes, Wilson, DK, Rice, Saquon Jacobs, Ingram, Godwin. I really like this team overall. I'll give it a B+ of a team, but Michael, I actually think it's got A- potential. C-Duo-4, 10-man PPR, Richardson, Saquon, Achan, St. Brown Cup, James Conner, Steelers. I think Steelers defense is a nice play. You've got some plays I really like. Richardson, St. Brown. Overall, again, I think it's a B+. If Saquon and Richardson and if everyone stays healthy, because you've got a bunch of guys with high injury risk, if everyone stays healthy, it's an A-. I think it may end up being a B because I think at least 2 of those players are going to be injured. Arthur, how about Anthony Richardson? I'm very high on Anthony Richardson. Some people are trying to talk me down from that position because of how he played in the preseason. I'm not worried about that at all. I don't need him to win games for the Colts. I need him to get a lot of fantasy points. He's going to do that. So I'm very, very high on him. I'm definitely a believer. If you want to participate in this fantasy league, DM me on Instagram. Just 1 spot left, so claim it while you can. Once we fill up the league, we will draft, so make sure you're getting involved. Mike R. wants in on it, just sent you a link. So appreciate everyone who hit us up. We do these leagues because we love participating against you guys, trying to engage with you guys off the air as much as possible. John 316, Motivate, 12M, Rank My Team, Daniels, Bijan, Pacheco, Diggs, Moore, Ferguson, Waddle, Rice, Swift on the bench. I really love your running backs. Love that. I'm not as high on Diggs as maybe others are. I like Moore, but I'm not as high on Diggs. I think Ferguson's a really nice pick for how you built the team. Overall, I think it's a B+, maybe a B. I think it really comes down to how Jaden Daniels plays for you. Make sure you've got other options at the quarterback position just stashed on your bench. Creed, add Jordan Mason or Dalvin Cook is a good handcuff. Jordan Mason. I'd much rather have Jordan Mason. Isaac, 10-man. And by the way, I understand Dalvin Cook will be the RB1 there, but they're playing the Browns week 1. There's just a lot of question marks there. It's going to take a while for his value to be there. Christian McCaffrey could get hurt week 1, and all of a sudden Jordan Mason becomes RB1 on the 49ers. We have loaded up this draft. It is a full draft. Thanks for everyone who reached out, who wanted to participate. We're going to set up the draft right now. We are going to start this draft in exactly 1 minute, everybody. 1 minute. It's going to be 30 seconds per pick. 30 seconds per pick. The draft order has been randomized. It's a PPR draft. The draft is open. If you're participating, we're going to start this draft in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The draft is underway, everybody. So, while we participate in this draft, I'm going to keep answering fantasy questions. Andrew, I'd go CeeDee Lamb over Tyreek Hill. CeeDee Lamb over Tyreek Hill. Carlos, DK or Pittman? It's very close for me. I'm going to lean just slightly towards DK, but it's very close. Who should I take at 1.14 and 2.03 in a 16-man league? H. It depends on who falls there. Like, I shouldn't have answered it. There's some questions, like, I see my eye. Some questions are worded poorly, like, who should I take? Like, have a thought. I don't know. I don't know who's drafted at that point. Have a strategy. I would take 2 running backs if you can. I double up on running backs, especially in a 14-man league. The bigger the league, the more I want to load up on running backs early on because the value is there, and it's very, very hard to get that value later on. So personally, I'd go running back, then I'd go wide receiver. Speaking of running back, this draft started with Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson, followed by CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill. Amazingly, Breece Hall still on the board at my spot at 6. Thank you. Zane, Stroud, Etienne, Swift, Diggs. You're too loaded on the Houston Texans offense. I don't like that at all. Frankly, I'm not crazy about the team, Zane. I'm going to give this team a B as its high grade, probably closer to a B-. Mac in a 12-man, Purdy, CeeDee Lamb, Debo, Waddle, Kyron Mostert, Ferguson. 12-man, loaded, a little overloaded on the 49ers, and not necessarily the 49ers I want. Overall, again, I'm going to say this is a B-, B- team. Sean, Jamar Chase or St. Brown? Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sean. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Duckarito, 10-man, 2 QB, 9th pick. What strategy? Get those running backs? Personally, I value running backs no matter how many quarterbacks are in the league. Would you rather Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb, and why? CeeDee Lamb. Why? Where he is in his career, how he's going to be utilized, how many targets he's going to get, fewer mouths to feed. I like him in every way more than Tyreek Hill. Travis Preston in a 12-man PPR. Kyler Murray, Saquon, Alvin Kamara, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Debo, Ridley, and Kincaid. Overall, I'll give the team a B+. I really like what you're thinking, but you have to have a lot of things go your way. Debo and Kamara being the biggest two, and Saquon Barkley's health. Overall, though, I think it's a B+, maybe closer to a B, though. Why did the Rams trade Ernest Jones for a bag of chips? Sophia, it's a great question. It is... Hold on one second. Second round. I got to go with my own advice. I got to take Pacheco while I can and load up on the 2 running backs. Why did they trade him for a bag of chips? It's a great question. I was surprised myself. Clearly, they weren't going to get a deal done for a long-term contract. But I'm just surprised because the Rams defense gets younger and younger and has less and less experience. I'm really surprised by it, but that said, the Rams, I think, this year are in a much different position than they've been in years past. In the past few years with Stafford and Aaron Donald, you're making a heavy push for it. This year, maybe they're taking a slightly different approach. I don't know. Money 88.99. Zay Flowers, I think he's going to have a solid year. I do think he could have a bit of a sophomore slump. Isaac, 10M, rate my Purdy, Saquon, Breece, Bijan, Pittman, Evans, Lions defense. Not crazy about the Lions defense, if I'm being honest. Love the running backs. The running backs are like, oh my God. So running backs alone make this a B+ team, but B. Birch, how do you feel about Josh Jacobs since A.J. Dillon out for the season? His value goes up. Not a crazy amount, but his value certainly goes up. Don, how do you feel about Josh Jacobs now A.J. Dillon is out? Same answer. Brock, James Conner. If he stays healthy, he always seems to be a more reliable player than you think. Good for maybe a flex play or someone to have on your bench to swap in for certain matchups. I don't think he's a solid enough play to be an RB2. Thaws, or T-Haws, is Kyron Williams worth keeping in a keeper league? Absolutely, 100%. Dale, thoughts on Chubb in round 13? He's going to be out the first 4 weeks of the season, so you really don't need to draft him right now. It's not necessarily a move that I would make, given the need. You might need someone more in the first few weeks. Tombs, thoughts on Pittman? I like him. Do I like him enough to be a wide receiver 1? It's close. I'm probably going to answer that question myself in a moment or two. I think he's probably nice to have in a tandem. If you have 2 good running backs, he's okay being your first wide receiver, but really I'd like to have him as almost a fringe wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Holden, rate my 10-man PPR team. Kyler, McCaffrey, Jones, Puka, Olave, Ingram, MPJ. I'll give that team like between a B, B+. I like it. Hope everyone stays healthy. I just took Olave in the 3rd round after I took Breece Hall and Pacheco in the first 2. Godwin for Etienne. I'd rather have Etienne. Rate my 10-man. Burrow, Etienne, Swift, St. Brown, Puka, Ingram, Adams, McLaurin, Steelers defense. I actually like this team a lot. I'm not crazy about ETN, but I love the St. Brown. I love the Ingram. I like the McLaurin, and I really like the Steelers' defense. I'll give it a B+. How's my receiver core? CeeDee Lamb, Pittman, and Kupp? Really good. Really good, Don. Really solid. Comfort is king. Better handcuff. Mason or Bucky Irving? Yeah, I saw the Elijah Mitchell news. I'd go Mason just because I know a little bit more of what I'm getting there, but I kind of like the Bucky Irving just because he's an off-the-radar play. Jeremiah, Devontae Smith, or Mike Evans? I'd go Mike Evans. Fewer mouths to feed in the offense, so he'll be targeted more, and he is so consistent. He has such a high floor for his production. I like it. Sean, thoughts on Purdy as QB1? It's kind of a big year for Brock Purdy. I don't think enough people are talking about what this year means for Brock Purdy. He's coming off a Super Bowl loss, but more importantly, again, we're going to find out whether this guy is about the team around him or whether he has the talent. He's going to have to answer that question every year until he actually wins a Super Bowl. So with Brock Purdy, I'm not crazy about him in fantasy unless you are really getting good value at the rounds where you're not taking a quarterback. But personally, I think there are probably some other quarterbacks I'd rather have. The reason why, he doesn't get enough rushing yards or rushing production from a fantasy standpoint. So there are other guys I'd rather have. Rather have Kyler Murray. Evan, Jaden, Reed, Ridley, or Watson? Ridley's a clear-cut wide receiver one on that team. He'll probably have the most production. I don't like betting against Jaden Reed. I think he could have a very big year, but I'll say Ridley actually has the greatest chance of being the highest production. C-Duo4, Neighbors, Warren, Connor. If Warren's healthy, I'll go Warren. By the way, this draft played out exactly how I wanted. I talked about Michael Pittman Jr. I don't really want him to be my wide receiver one. I want him as like wide receiver one, wide receiver two. Exactly what happened for me. First 2 rounds of the draft, Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco. Next 2 rounds of the draft, Chris Olave, Michael Pittman Jr. Those 2 guys are very solid. I really like what I have built here in the first 4 rounds of the draft. This is playing out very much how I like to draft a team. Sam Laporta followed after. Josh Allen followed after. So I feel pretty good. I didn't want to take a tight end or a quarterback anyways. So I'm going to get another player that I like in that turnaround from round 4 to round 5 if things play out the way I want and the way I think they will. So I really like the draft I'm building. Two-Tone, thoughts on Amari Cooper? Much like Mike Evans, high floor. I don't know if it's a high ceiling for the entire year, but a high floor, a good own. Draft CD or Breece Hall for pick 1.03. Right now, I'd probably say CeeDee Lamb, especially if it's a PPR league, but you can't go wrong with either one. I got Prescott, Tua, Richardson. Who to start with? CeeDee Lamb. Well, it's not Prescott, at least for week 1, because week 1's going to be a brutal matchup. Brutal matchup for the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Cleveland Browns. Sports Takes 2. I drafted Mahomes, Chase, Debo, Etienne, Taylor, Ferguson, and Dell. What do you think? Not crazy about Dell, not crazy about Debo, but overall solid team. I'd give it a B+ right now. This draft's going exactly how I wanted. I wanted DeAndre. Maybe not. I spoke too soon. Let's see if one Brecken ruins my world. I might have spoken a moment too soon. Damn it, he did. He took DeAndre Swift. That's who I was going to take. Okay, I'll take a tight end. I'm going to take Dalton Kincaid in the 5th. Not who I was going to take. I was going to take DeAndre Swift, but one Brecken, maybe he's watching the show, took the pick I wanted right ahead. John, rate my 12-man PPR. Burrow, Hall, Achan, Collins, Smith, Flowers, Ferguson. I'll give it a B, B+. Kind of on the border there. Knox, 10-man league. Hurts, McCaffrey, Henry, Ayuk, Adams, Walker, Goddard. Little overloaded on the Eagles' offense. Little overloaded on that. Overall, I think it's probably a B+, but I'm not. It's a B, B+. I think it's probably B+ territory. It's a little bit better than I'm giving credit. Hi, Key. How do you feel about Achan and Gibbs as running backs 1 and 2? Don't really love it. Don't really love it. Both have question marks. Both have a guy in their running back room that's going to take a number of carries anyways. It could vulture some touchdowns. I like one of them on my team. I don't like having both of them. Luke, Etienne or Pacheco? I'd go Pacheco. I just value him more. I value the Chiefs' offense more. I trust him more. So Pacheco over Etienne for me. Joker, rate 12, man. No tight end. Kyler, Etienne, Achen, St. Brown, Collins, Andrews, Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a really nice sleeper pick late there. I kind of like that. Overall, I'll give the team a B+. B+, because it's a 16. I know it's harder to build a really solid squad there. Just took Terry McLaurin in the 6th round. So far my team is Breece Hall, Pacheco, Olave, Pittman Jr., Kincaid, and McLaurin, in that order. Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, Chris Olave, Michael Pittman Jr., Dalton, Kincaid, and Terry McLaurin, in that order. Pretty solid team. No one, Puka, Harrison, Achan, Mixon, Love, Kincaid, Flowers, Ayuk, Kyler, Watson, Javonte, Moody. Not crazy about your running back room. I like your tight end, obviously. I like your wide receivers. I'll give it a B+, if your running backs perform better than I expect. But Achan is an RB1. I don't have the same faith in it as others do. Johnny, now that Dylan is out for the year, do I pick up Lloyd as a backup to Jacobs? Yeah, it's kind of an interesting move. I kind of like it, actually. Riley, trade Henry, Mostert, Waddle for Breece Hall. Sorry, Henry, Montgomery, and Waddle for Breece Hall and Mostert. Riley, I actually would do that. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Jeremy, McClure, rate my 12-man PPR double flex. Amon-Ra, Achan, Cook, Nico, McBride, Kyler, Rashee Rice, Ford, Spears. Not crazy about the running backs. I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B right now. I like James Cook. I like Achan. If both perform well, it's a B+, but that's where I come out on it. Brett, Mahomes, Henry, Kamara, Hill, Ayuk, Kincaid, Kirk at the 1.03 spot. It's okay. Given that you were at 1.03, I would have addressed running back. Clearly, you went with Hill at wide receiver. I don't think it's a terrible decision, just not the one I would have gone with. I think the team's probably between a B and a B+. Storytime 97, non-PPR. Who do I start, Swift or McLaurin? In a non-PPR, I think for week 1, I kind of want to say McLaurin. It's close though. We need to review the Tennessee Titans run defense. That might have just gotten a little bit better with the trade they just made. So I lean towards McLaurin for week 1. Mark Allen, who should I take at 2 if I was number 1 if number 1 was taking Lamb? I would take Breece Hall. Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey. Oh, we got a call. Let's see what Luke wants to talk about. Luke, what's good?
What's up?
How you living?
I'm good. How are you?
Loving life. How can we help you?
I have a question about fantasy. How do you like Derrick Henry this season?
I'm not as high on him as others are. I think he's a good RB2, but as an RB1, I'm just worried about his age. I'm worried about him breaking down, so I'm just not as big on him as maybe some others are.
All right, and there's just a couple more. What are your thoughts on Chris Godwin this season?
I wouldn't draft him. I'm kind of fading I'm okay with Mike Evans because I know what I'm going to get from him, but Godwin, between injury history and he might be a nice sleeper play that I'm overlooking, but he's not someone I'm necessarily focused on.
Thank you. And then last one, how do you think Brian Thomas will do this year?
Oh, I really like that pick. He's someone I'd rather have than Godwin because I think his upside is there. I think he could really emerge in Jacksonville. I know Gabe Davis is there, and maybe that stunts his growth a little bit, so you might have to draft and stash him and just wait for him to produce. But I like him a lot.
Yeah. All right, and then just last one. What do you think about what's it called? Devin Singletary.
So it's interesting. We're doing this fantasy draft right now while I'm doing the show, and Devin Singletary is a player that I actually like as your third or fourth running back, someone who you can literally sub in or put in a flex spot, but he's got some more value. If you're in a bigger league, if you're in a 14 or a 16-man league, he could actually have some good value because they're going to have to run the ball to protect Daniel Jones from being awful. So I think it's going to open up things for Devin Singletary as kind of the bell cow of the offense.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for watching the show, Luke.
Yes, sir.
If you guys want to join the show as a guest, feel free to do so on TikTok Live. By the way, we will do a subscriber-only show tonight. We are going to do a subscriber-only show tonight at probably like 10 o'clock tonight. That's going to be live on TikTok. You have to be a subscriber, and the reason we do shows like that is because we get so many questions during a show. It's hard for us to answer multiple questions from one person. So to give you guys a lot of attention, I know a lot of you guys have follow-ups and things like that. We do the subscriber-only show so you guys get a lot of attention on your teams and can really build the lineup that is ultimately going to win you the week. Speaking of winning the week, I need to make a draft pick right now. In the 9th round, is Aaron Rodgers a bad choice? Not a bad choice, actually. He's a bit of a sleeper, but you're not going to get any rushing production out of him. Be sure of that. One Shot, appreciate you joining the show and community as a subscriber. Can't wait to see you tonight for the subscriber-only show. We'll definitely be answering all of your questions all season long. By the way, subscribers also do get the benefit of, we probably answer their question right away here too, because it obviously shows up faster, that little icon. Junior in a 12-man pick, 10, Lamar, JT Warren, Justin Jefferson, Ayuk, Evan Ingram, Nico Collins. I'll give it a pretty hard B+. I'm not as high on Justin Jefferson as others are. Warren splitting touches when he's healthy. Ayuk, there's question marks around him in that offense right now. I'm sure he'll get it figured out, but if everything goes right, it's a B+, but right now it's a B. Jennifer, thanks so much for resubscribing. Jennifer is one of our most loyal followers. Truth Seeker, 4 running backs, Breece Hall, Achan, Cook, and Connor. Pick 2, and then flex 1. Well, even though they're going up against the 49ers, I'm starting Breece Hall. Week 1, I'm probably starting Achan and James Cook as well. Arizona goes up against Buffalo. I think I'll probably hold off on James Conner. I know he'll play well physically, but I'd rather have James Cook and Achan. Back on the clock. Hope you guys are loving the content, loving the show. Make sure you hit that follow button and make sure you subscribe. Yoltz, who has the best team so far drafting right now in this? If it's not me, personally, I do think it's me because I thought I got off to such a good start. Toby's got a pretty good team. Toby's got a good team. Agus, Toby, Jorge. Agus, Toby, and Jorge are the teams in this draft right now that I'm competing with for best team. Trenton Elliott, Kyler Murray, Taylor Cook, Pittman, Kupp, Dell, Bowers. What do you think of this 12-man? I actually really like what you built there. I think it's probably a B+ team right now, but given it's a 12-man and where you were picking, I actually like this team. The Taylor Cook combo I actually really like. I like Murray. Your wide receivers are pretty solid across the board. I think Dell might disappoint you a little bit. Hayden, do I accept this trade? Giving McCaffrey, DK, and Tua, getting Etienne, Jefferson, and Burrow? No, I don't like that trade. D1, what do you think of drafting? What do you think of the team drafting 1.05? Well, Brecken, you've taken a number of the players that I wanted just ahead of me. I don't like your running back room. Your running back's why I'm not considering you a threat right now. I love your team if running back wasn't a valuable position. 72-62. Should I draft 2 QBs in a 12-man league? Probably not. It really depends on who's on the board, but I probably want to fill out the roster with as many players that I can get value out of early on. Hope you guys are loving the content, loving the conversation. Appreciate you guys watching the show. We are live almost every single day now. We do a show at 4:30 Monday through Friday. We are also live at 10 a.m. on Sundays. So Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. on Sundays. That's where you can find us. And of course, if you guys need additional content, we are also live for subscriber-only shows. Subscriber-only shows at night. We'll do those Monday through Friday, probably Monday through Saturday at 10 p.m. each night. So again, that's 4:30 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. on Sunday, and then subscriber-only shows Monday through Saturday on TikTok. Wes, Jacobs and Diggs, or Waddle and Connor? I'll go Jacobs and Diggs. Cam Hatch, 12-man league, Richardson, JT, Achan, Wilson, Kupp, Ferguson, and Waddle. I'll give it a B+, Cam. Storytime, 97. 10-man, Love, Kyron, Jacobs, Justin Jefferson, Devontae, Pitts, Swift, McLaurin, Worthy. I love that you backed up the wide receivers that are shaky or I'm nervous about with rookie wide receivers. I love this team. This is an A- team for me. Really like it. Maybe a B+, A-. Love it. Shane, thanks so much for resubscribing. Great to have you back as a member of the community. No more weeks. What does the Tim Patrick wave do to the Broncos? Who is the number 2 after Sun? The Broncos are a bad team this year. I hate to break it to you. They're going to finish last most likely in that division. They are going to be drafting in the top 10 in the draft next year. They're just not a very good team. They don't have a very good roster. Palmer, rate the 12-man, Burrow, Kupp, DK, Bijan, Etienne, Ferguson, and Keenan. I love this team, Palmer, because I like Etienne as an RB2. I like DK and Kupp both in a very balanced squad. Really solid. I'll give it a B+, but I've got a lot of belief in this team. If Burrow stays healthy, if Keenan Allen plays well with Caleb Williams, this team has A- potential. Cam, what do you think of Richardson? I'm high on him. I know he's going to make his mistakes, but he's also going to get a lot of fantasy points. Favorite MLB player prop for today? Okay. My favorite MLB player prop bet for today. I'm very high on Jose Ramirez. Sal, very high on Jose Ramirez. I really like Gleyber Torres. Who's some? J.D. Martinez. Sal, J.D. Martinez. He's facing Eduardo Rodriguez. He owns him. Owns him. Like they would say in Slapshot, who owns the Chiefs? He owns that dude, J.D. Martinez. I have a couple of player prop bet parlays. They're like Jose Ramirez, J.D. Martinez, Gleyber Torres. Those three really stand out to me. I think Willie Adames could also have a good game. He's got good numbers against the starting pitcher he's facing. Nolan Arenado is someone else I also have my eye on. Those are a few. Sal, appreciate it. Luke, what are your thoughts on T. Higgins this season? I'm kind of worried about him. He's disgruntled. The offense of the Bengals has some question marks, whether it's Joe's health or how things are going to operate without Mixon in the backfield. I'm not as high on him as I should be. What do you think about Achan and JT being my running backs? I like it. I like Achan as an RB2. I'm not crazy about him as an RB1, but I do like him as an RB2. Sean, thoughts on Purdy as QB1? It's okay. It's okay. CA Live, I have Gibbs, Ayuk, Adams, Achan, Kincaid, Lockett, Aaron Jones, and Jaden Daniels. I think it's a B squad. How do you feel about Mixon? I think Mixon could get you a bunch of touchdowns. I think that's what you're really banking on. Can he get you a touchdown a game? When he doesn't get you a touchdown, I don't think he's going to necessarily be worth a start. User 12345 is Cooper Kupp at pick number 22 early, or should I wait till 29? I'd wait till 29. Even if you miss out on him, I think there are other wide receivers who are comparable value. Chris Simmons, how about Garrett Wilson at pick 8? I think it's too early for him at pick 8. I think it's a bit of a reach by literally 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks. How do you feel about Jacobs? Really like him, Jacob. Truth Seeker, Puka, Evans, Debo, or Rice for wide receiver 2. If he doesn't get suspended, Rashee Rice. Love Amon-Ra St. Brown as the number 1. If Rashee Rice isn't suspended at all, I'd say he's the next one. Waddle or Kupp? Wes, it's close for me. I'm going to lean slightly, I think, towards Waddle, but that's kind of a feeling I think he's going to be a breakout, but I have little data to back that right now. How do you feel about Gibbs? I like him as a round 2 pick. He went from being a first-round pick to a round 2 pick. Mostert or Wright as a handcuff to Achan? Mostert would be the handcuff. Will there be more drafts today? Probably not. I'm pretty hungry. I want to go get some dinner. We've been live for about an hour and a half, too, so... and we also have our subscriber-only show in T-minus, 4 hours, so we've got a lot of content, a lot going on. Got to get that belly full. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every time that we're live. We're live a lot, so make sure you hit that follow button. And again, if you subscribe on TikTok, you can join us for subscriber-only shows. We answer all of your questions, so it's not this rapid fire competing with others. We answer all of your questions, as many as you throw at us. So subscribe and join us. Those usually are at 10 o'clock at night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Saturday. Start Keon Coleman or Jackson Smith and Jigba. For week 1, it's kind of an interesting question. I kind of want to start Keon Coleman week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know, though. I'm not hearing great things out of camp with him. Drew, I like Breece Hall. Breece Hall. Tone Awakened, is Dallas Goedert for Ferguson equal value? I'd rather have Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson's the better own in my opinion. Appreciate you guys being with us. Thoughts on Kamara? I think Alvin Kamara is actually a good own this year. I think he's being overlooked by too many people. He's got some value. Who's the top receiver in New England? I think it's probably Demario Douglas. Alex Malfa, Breece Hall going 1, McCaffrey 2. I would take CeeDee Lamb. I take CeeDee Lamb. I understand why you're thinking maybe take Bijan because you've already had 2 running backs off the board, but I'd go CeeDee Lamb. Appreciate you guys being with us every single day. Again, we are live Monday through Friday at 4:30 Eastern Time. We are live at 10 a.m. on Sundays for the NFL season, and we do subscriber-only shows every night at 10 p.m. Flex start, Flowers or Rashee Rice? I'd go Rashee Rice. How do you feel about Michael Pittman? I like him. Should I start Dak or Tua? I'd start Tua for week 1 for sure. Dak going up against the Cleveland Browns week 1. First pick of a 12-man, I'd go Breece Hall, Charlie. Breece Hall or CeeDee Lamb? It's a toss-up for me. If it's PPR, you could talk me into it being CeeDee Lamb. Appreciate you guys being with us. We have completed the draft. We also have some picks to give out. We didn't talk a lot of MLB betting today, but I do have some picks I like. Tigers on the money line, I really like. I mentioned this to you guys earlier. Tigers on the money line. I have another baseball pick that I want to give out that I really love. These are some of my favorite picks of the day. Tigers on the money line. Royals and Guardians on the over. Royals and Guardians on the over. Royals, Guardians, over. Make sure you check out this trend right here. Royals, Guardians, over. When the Guardians are following a home loss in which the over hit, the over has hit in 10 of the 11 games. So the last game that the Guardians played last night in the N1, when the Guardians are following a home loss over, the over is 10-0-1. So 2 of my favorite bets today, we've shown them earlier to you. The Tigers on the money line, based on the circumstances today, they are undefeated. Tigers, when they have a total of 9 runs or more, are 9-0. And the Guardians and Royals over, that's an undefeated trend as well. If you want every bet I make every day, DM me on Instagram. My my handle on Instagram is ButtFumbleSports. I give away my picks for free every day. You never have to pay for them. They're never behind a paywall. I never hide them, delete them. I show every pick I make every single day. DM me on Instagram, ButtFumbleSports, if you want to get access to all of that for free. I'll share a link. You can see every single one of them. You can follow them. You can fade them. That's up to you. But I show my picks every day so you guys know what picks I like based on the trends, data, matchups, analytics, umpires, every piece of information we can get our hands on. So with that said, my favorite picks are up on the board. You can check those out, or you can DM me on Instagram to get access to every single one of them. Of course, I appreciate you guys so much watching the show. I hope you guys join us tonight for our subscriber-only show on TikTok. Until then, enjoy this evening's baseball games. We've got college football later this week. We have the NFL almost a week away. It is a wonderful time to be alive. It's a wonderful time to be a sports fan. Make sure you are with us tonight for our subscriber-only show at 10 o'clock. And until then, I hope you stay healthy. I hope you stay safe. Have a wonderful night, everybody. You guys are the best. Make sure you follow, and I'll catch you later, everyone. Have a great night. Goodbye.